Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Rick's Picks. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the original 1991 toy line of the Toxic Crusaders action figures. Now, this is going to be a general talk and walkthrough of the figures overall because this was a really cool line of figures back in the early 90s. I'm really excited to be looking these figures over. So, without any further ado, roll that intro. The first thing I want to do is get into a little history with these figures on how they actually came to be. So, in the late 80s, early 90s, companies were deciding to make R-rated movies into cartoons and toys. So, we got such things as the RoboCop toy line with cartoon. You had Alien action figures, the Predator, Terminator, and also the Toxic Crusaders falls into that same category. Now, these figures are based off of a movie by Trauma called The Toxic Avenger. Very much not a show that you want your kids to see, especially the unrated version. A lot of violence, nudity, and what have you. So it's not really something made for kids. And somebody decided, hey, I'm going to turn that into a children's cartoon. And I'm kind of glad they did because of the fact that it was actually a good cartoon. I would highly recommend you check it out. Trauma does have it on their streamer, and I think somebody else, I think like Peacock or one of those also has it on there too. But I would definitely recommend checking out that cartoon. It was a lot of fun for kids. It also had that meta humor that adults would get behind. So it was a good cartoon. Now, if you got a good cartoon, it also spawns a toy line. And these figures were made by Playmate. So the same people who made the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are now making the Toxic Avenger figures. Now, I basically have all of them. The only two I'm missing is Psycho and the Radiated Ranger. Plus, Toxie here is not the original figure. This is actually the Trick or Treat version of the Toxic Avenger. So let's take a look at these figures. Now we're going to just take a quick look at each of the action figures that were part of this line. Like I said, Toxie here, he isn't part of the original line, but he, for the most part, represents the original figure. Trick or Treat Studios did do some changes with him, made him a little bit more slimmer and modern. So there are some differences, but for the most part, he's a pretty accurate, description of the original figure. So you see all this detail, all the bumps, veins, and stuff like that. You even got like splatter and stuff all over the front of them. All right, you look at the side here, you can see his red and white band, not bandana, wristband. More splattering all over his costuming. Now, one of the bummers with the Trick or Treat figure is the factor that he does not have holes in the bottom of his feet. So I cannot use my stand, but for the most part, he's standing pretty well. Now, he does come with like some grenade type things, like toxic waste can grenades, his iconic mop, and a shield. I do have those somewhere around in the house. These are actually for my kids, so it's lost in a toy box somewhere. But for the most part, you get the gist of what the figure is about. All right, we'll put him aside. Next on our list would be Bonehead. Now, he's one of the bad guys. Now, of the toy line, and for the most part in the cartoon, he's one of the only figures that actually survived from the original movie. Him and the girlfriend are based off of characters from the movie. The same with the mother. But he's the only one of the toys, other than Toxie, that actually comes from the original movie. So he represents the bully that actually puts the Toxic Avenger into the toxic chemicals that turns him into what he is. Now, in the original movie, he didn't turn into a skeleton guy. He was just a jerk jock who likes to, torture children and do mean and evil things. But in the cartoon, they did turn him into this, which I think looks pretty cool. I do like the head sculpting to it and design that looks pretty neat. He has a leather jacket in a bright purple, what have you. All right, you can see the shoulder padding here. Looks really, really cool. I do dig that. And then, you know, you can even see the bone in between. Like the forearm bone, how it's split in two pieces. So I like that a lot. You know, his gloves. Even in the back here, they got like a little scarf or something in the, you know, pocket. Got all this little detailing and stuff in there. Same with his leg design. So I like the overall design to him. All right, next on our list is No Zone. Now, he's the only one, unfortunately, that I do have all the gear for. So he comes with this nose rifle, shield, and then some sort of nose backpack. Now, this guy was unique of all of them because of the factor. Let's get him to stand a little bit better. He had an extra play feature. So when you tip him forward, you can see this hole in the back of his head. That's designed for you to put slime through it. So you put slime in the back of his head and it'll come out of his nose. The same with his shield. If I put the shield up, out of the nostrils, there's a hole in the back of the shield that, you know, you can make it look like snot coming out of there. So that's really cool because around that time of era, everything had to have some sort of slime play feature, whether it was Masters of the Universe, Ghostbusters, and so forth. So now let's get rotating him. Got some really cool detail. It has like snot and stuff all over him. And the wheel also moves as well. So you can see the wheel moving a little bit. Now, a lot of the points of articulation are simple. You know, you have a joint in here, you have a joint there. Most of them have a hip joint. It varies from figure to figure just because of the level of detail on them. All right, and then he also has some more snot and stuff on the other side. So he's a wickedly cool looking figure. And once again, he has this signature, and all these figures do, have the signature Playmate style detail to where he just put so much detail all over the figure that looks really nice. Some real hardcore sculpting. All right, next we're going to look at Major Disaster. Now they went with all sorts of different wild colors with him. So he was the plant guy. You know, he was basically a elemental. He controls all the plants and bushes and stuff like that. So he has some gear on his belt, peace symbol on his helmet. This looks like wood, you know, bushes and all sorts of weird stuff on him. All right, looks like he has some sort of crossbow there. Has all sorts of weapons on his belt, roots and stuff here. And let's lift this arm up so you can see some of this detail on the legs. You get all this really cool, wild detailing there. I like that. And so forth. So he's a really cool looking figure. Now he is thinned out from the cartoon. The cartoon, he's a little bit bulkier, but they decided to thin this figure out. But overall, still neat looking. Now we got Junkyard, one of my personal favorites, just because I'm a werewolf type person and he has kind of that werewolf vibe when he isn't falling over. Get on that hole. Boom. There you go. Man, he does not want to stay on there for some reason. It's just the way how his feet are designed. I'm trying to get him to lean forward for you guys. You can really see him. But there he is. He looks really cool. He looks better from the side because you can see a lot more detail. Now, his play feature is that the jaw opens up and closes. So that's a pretty neat play feature. I like that. I like, once again, the attention to detail on these guys is kind of crazy. And him falling over is even crazier. So we're going to do something a little bit different with this guy. We're going to put it in this foot. Help him stand a little bit better. There we go. All right. He has the tail here. And you can actually see rips in the tail. So you can see bone in there. That's pretty cool. You got this piece here that's supposed to be him breaking out of his shirt. Kind of wish they would have painted that up. That would have been some really neat detailing. But other than that, he's pretty wicked looking. Now, the thing about this figure, is the tongue. All right. One of the hardest things to find intact with this figure is the tongue because it's a soft rubber. And a lot of times it either got ripped out or just wanted up deteriorating. So finding him with the tongue is always a big plus. All right. Next on our list is Headbanger. Now, this is a jock fused with a mad scientist. I believe he was like a delivery boy or something in the episode. He was delivering like a message to him from Kill 'Em All, and he was doing some sort of experiment with fries to make people old or something, if I remember the episode correctly. And they accidentally got fused together. So this is a twisted looking figure. I like the overall look to him. Actually, no, he's not a jock. He's more of a beach bum, like a surfer type dude. All right, so you can see all the little gear and stuff in here. Has some toxic stuff spilled on him. Big veins and horns coming out of his head. All right, you can see the other arm reaching around the back, which looks really neat. You see the surfer shorts and sandals on him. Come into the arm and all. You can see all the, cuts, bruises, and what have you on him. And now back around to the front where you get a really good look at this figure. So overall, he looks pretty neat. All right. And then last on our list is, boom, Dr. Kill-'Em-All. Now, this guy was kind of cool looking, and I hate to say he wasn't a super evil villain. What he was he's from a race of roach people, and they were actually terraforming our planet. So them making our air toxic and hard to breathe was making it livable for them. So in the cartoon, this is actually a mask that comes off, and he has like a little roach head under it. If I had all his pieces, he would have a backpack that would strap onto his back. But he's still a neat looking figure. Now, the big difference, because just like the Toxic Avenger, Trick or Treat Studios did do a newer version of him. But their version of him, the head actually comes off, and you can actually see the roach head. My son does have him, did have him, because he effectively took the head off, and then he ripped the roach head off of the spring. So, yeah. Better for collectors, not so much for kids. So, he is a good looking figure. I like a lot of the attention to detail on him. Really twisted looking and what have you. So he is a cool looking figure. All right, so my final thoughts on these figures are that they're really good. I like them. I like them for a lot of the same reasons that I like the original Turtle line. All the real attention to detail to these figures. I love the attention to detail to them. They're pretty sturdy overall figures. A lot of the weapons are hardy. I mean, like I said earlier, unfortunately, No Zone is the only one that we have that has all his accessories. And Toxic Avenger, his accessories were designed off of the original figure, and they're actually pretty hardy as well, even though I don't have them down here with me. But overall, it's a great toy line, great cartoon. I would highly recommend people checking out both of them, plus the original movie if you're into the old, B level, gore fest type movies. Then you would probably like the original one and the new one. Um, Briefly, I want to talk about the new Toxic Avenger movie. Being a huge fan of the original movie, I was kind of really skeptical about this one, but it wasn't that bad. I actually enjoyed it. It it's not a remake, okay? It's definitely not a remake. He's a different Toxic Avenger. So, this is basically another guy that fell into the same situation as the original Toxic Avenger, and now him and his friends and family are all dealing with that situation. So I would recommend that one as well. Like I said, he's definitely meant to be a totally different Toxic Avenger. He wasn't meant to be Melvin. He was meant to be whatever Dinklage's name of the character is. And it's actually a pretty cool flick. Matter of fact, somewhere down the line, I can actually almost see them getting into two Toxic Avengers together and, maybe doing a movie with that. I think that would actually be pretty decent. So, with all that being said, the next thing I want to do is give my shout outs to all the people who support this channel. Excuse me. First on that list is Byron Bassett and his alter ego, Humongous. He does a lot of things for the channel, and he's a huge supporter of the channel. He also has his own YouTube channel and show that he does every Sunday, so go ahead and check that out in the description. Next on our list is Action Figure Geeks. They're a Reddit channel that I'm part of. They also support this channel. And new to the whole thing, Joe Goddard. He just opened up his own YouTube channel. He's a huge supporter of the channel. He's been supporting the channel for a while. So go ahead and check out his information in the description. And last but not least, all of you. This show would be nothing without all you people who watch it all the way through, who like, share, subscribe, become members. You know, this show thrives because of you, and I'm very thankful for every one of you. So also, I want to say, take a look at my Toxic Avenger playlist, also my membership program, and hit that like, share, and subscribe. They're all small clicks for you, but it really helps this channel grow. So, to the next one, late.